Students, in this video I am going to discuss a question which is very much important for your exam, that is causes behind shift of supply curve. That means what are the different causes behind the shift in the supply curve. That means supply curve, you know, that means there are two types of changes as we have got already. In case of the supply, that means change in quantity supply, and another one is the change in supply. So in change in quantity supply, what we have got, that means the result or change in the supply of the commodity is due to what? Own price of the commodity. But in case of the change in supply, basically there exists shift in supply curve. That means there is a shift of rightward shift and leftward shift of the supply curve, and here the main causes are factors other than the own price of the commodity. That means own price of the commodity is not responsible in the shifting of the supply curve. That means factors other than own price of the commodity is responsible. So really we are going to discuss the causes. First one is the changes in the price of input. First point I am taking, that is changes in prices of inputs. In prices of inputs, this is the first factor or cause of shift of the supply curve. That means a producer, you see, a producer uses different inputs in the production of commodity, and these inputs are raw materials. He can use raw materials, then labors, then machines. These are the factors and which are responsible for the production of the commodity, or which are the ingredients or the elements with which the producer try to produce the commodity. Now situation is what? Other things being equal, the higher the price of any input, the lesser will be the profit from a making product in which that input is used. Now you see, that means what we have got: raw materials, then labor, machines. These all are called as what? Inputs in the production of a commodity. Now these factor prices are ultimately include while we construct the price of the commodity. That means in the price of commodity the producer counts the prices of these raw inputs, that means raw material, labor and machines. If the input price, that means raw material price, labor and machine prices are increased, what will happen? The price of the commodity will increase. But this increase in the price of commodity will not actually increase the profit share of the producer. That means producer profit will increase when there is a as usual increase in the price of commodity, and it can increase the labor's profit share of the producer. In such situation it will try to increase the labor, but increase the supply in the market. But here our condition is what? The input prices are increased, that means raw material price, labor price and machine price. So what will happen? Therefore the producer will supply less unit of the commodity in the market, as his profit will decline. Therefore the producer will supply less amount of the commodity in the market. As a result, what will happen? The supply curve will shift leftward. Now you see the diagram. Here it is OX axis presenting quantity or supply of the commodity, and this is OY axis where we are presenting price of inputs. These are price of inputs. Okay, now this is S0 supply curve, which represents a specific amount of supply in the commodity at a specific price. Now here, as a result of increase in the input price, raw material price, labor price, machines price increase, as a result profit share of the producer will decline or decrease. Therefore you will supply less amount of the commodity in the market. Therefore the supply curve will shift leftward. Shift leftward means That means there is a decrease in the supply of the commodity. That means supply will decrease and the price is not changed. The important thing is that here will the price will be constant. At the same price, supply will be minimal or less. Now in another situation, what will happen if the input price decreases? We assume another condition, the input price, raw material price, labor price, machines price in decrease. It implies the profit share of the producer will increase. Therefore the producer will now increase the amount of supply in the market, and that's why the supply curve will be shift rightward. Rightward shift of the supply curve always implies the increase in the supply of commodity. Here S0 S0 is the original supply curve, and this is S2 S2 is the new supply curve which shows the increasing amount of supply of the commodity. So I think you can get the idea how due to increase and decrease in the input prices, that means supply of the commodity in the market increases or decreases. That means input price increases, supply will decrease. Inverse relationship, input price decreases, supply will increase. So this is also inverse relationship. So in both the situations there is a shift of the supply curve, sometimes leftward and sometimes rightward, and this is actually important for your examination purpose. That means there is a chance of coming this question in your examination. Now we move to the next topic. What is it? You see, it is what changes in technology. Number 2, this is changes in technology. As you know that a specific type of technology is used in the production of commodity. All of you know about it. Okay, now what happened exactly when the technology that adopted in the production of commodity, and that means updated, that means a producer use an updated version of the technology in the production of a commodity, what will happen? The cost of production will fall. That means cost of production will fall when a producer used to apply a updated technology, recent technology in the production of commodity. Automatically cost of production, it is most important in the production, cost of production will decline. And what will happen? The profit share, as a result, the profit share of the producer will increase. Cost of production declines means profit share of the producer will increase. So in such situation, what will you do? The producer will supply more unit of the commodity in the market. This can be shown with the help of this diagram. So this is the horizontal axis measuring the quantity supply of the commodity, and this is what vertical axis measuring the price of the commodity, not exactly in price of input in the previous diagram that we presented. Now here we are presenting the price of the commodity. So now take the example, this is S0 S0 supply curve. So named as supply curve before technological improvement. That means when we are using the original technology in the production of commodity, in this supply curve, price of the commodity is OP and supply of the commodity is OQ naught. Okay, and this is the point where we are measured the supply of the commodity as well as the price of commodity. Now as a result of increase in the state of technology, that means if the producer use a updated version of the technology, what will happen? The supply amount of the commodity will increase. Supply of the commodity will increase, and at the constant price, if the producer supply more, it implies what? If the producer supply more, it implies the profit share of the commodity will increase. That means cost of production will decline. As a result of using updated technology, the profit share will decline. So the supply of the commodity will increase, and as a result this supply curve moves rightward. This is original supply curve S0 S0. Now this is S1 S1, new supply curve indicating more amount of the supply in the market. So this is OQ0, it is the original amount of supply of the commodity, and this is OQ1, it is the new amount of the supply of the commodity as a result of adoption of the updated version of the technology. I think it is very clear, and easily you can get it. You see, and when the technology is not updated, if there is a decline in the technology of the production, what will happen? The cost of production will increase, and as a result the supply of the commodity decline at the same price. So there will be a leftward shift. You can also add another curve here, leftward shift of the supply curve, which indicate the less amount of supply in the market at the constant price. The price is constant, but at the constant price, what will happen? The cost of production will increase, hence the profit share of the producer will decline, and therefore the producer will intend to supply less amount of supply in the commodity, less amount of commodity in the market, less amount of supply of the commodity in the market. This is the third point. Second point. Now we move to the third one. Now next point number 3, changes in the excise tax rate. So before going to discuss this point, first I like to define what is tax. Tax is nothing but a compulsory contribution which to be paid by each and every citizen of the country, every institution of the country, and which has no quid pro quo. That means there is a compulsion that all the citizen, all the institution of the country must pay the tax to the government, and in return we cannot claim anything from the government. That means there is no quid pro quo. That means it is a term which means there is no direct return from the tax. So tax is a compulsory contribution, compulsory remuneration which to be paid by each and every citizen of the country, each and every institution of the country to the government, and in return we cannot claim any, that means we can claim any return from the government. So here excise tax, and this excise tax is, there are two types of taxes actually. First one is called as the direct tax, and example of direct tax is income tax, wealth tax. These are example of direct tax. That means these are directly paid by the government. In the next chapter of the second part we'll discuss detail about it. Now excise tax, it is indirect means of taxation, that's why it is called as the indirect tax, and these taxes are levied on goods and services. So when government used to impose excise tax, what will happen? It will increase the supply of the price of the commodity. Say for example, while a construction of the price of X commodity, suppose PX, it implies what? Price of X commodity. Here we'll consider the factor prices, like as we use land plus labor plus capital plus organization. These are four factors that use in the production of commodity X. It means this is actually the theory of construction of the price of X commodity. So land means land, that all the available resources found in the earth is called as land in economics. Labor, all the mental and physical exertions performed by human being is called as labor. Then capital is nothing but it is the machines which ultimately helps in the production of commodity. And organizations, that means it is the owner. Organization is nothing, not the owner actually. It actually mix all these three factors in the production of commodity. And for the contribution of landholder, we pay rent, and again labor will get what? Wage, and capital will get interest, and organization will get the profit. So these all are called as the factor cost. This is the left hand side of the equation, px, price of x commodity, and this is the right hand side of the equation. So while constructing the price of x commodity, we consider this factor cost. Now tax is imposed, that means tax is imposed on the price of x commodity here. That means excise duty will be levied on the price of x commodity. Now if the amount of excise tax increases, what will happen? Government used to increase the amount of tax on the goods. What will happen? It will increase the price of commodity. Suppose the summation of the factor cost is 10 rupees and the government used to impose 2 rupees as a tax, that is excise tax. So the total price of the commodity will be 12 rupees. Now if the government used to impose another 2 rupees as a tax, that means it original it was 2 and now new one is 2 rupees, so it will be 4. So total price of the commodity will increase to 14. And according to the law of supply, as the price of commodity increases, the supply should be increased, isn't it? It is the logic of the supply of the commodity or law of supply. Now although there is an increase or increment in the price of commodity, but in such situation the supply of the commodity cannot be increased or supply will not increase. Why? Because this additional 2 rupees will be go to the granary of the government. That means it will, that means transfer to the government. That means it will not transfer to the profit, that means organizer or the producer. Okay, so as a result of increase in the tax rate, the price will be increased, and at the increasing price the producer will supply same amount of the commodity. That means there will no increment in the supply of the commodity, but here the price of the commodity is increased. That's why the supply curve will shift upward. Can you get my point? So it will be more clear when we use the diagram later. Next you see, if the government used to decrease the amount of tax on the what commodity price, that means now it is 1, original it was 2 rupees. Now what will happen? The price will be 11. So although there is a decline in the supply of commodity, a price of the commodity, still the supply will be constant. Why the supply will be constant? Because it will not increase the profit, decrease or decline the profit share of the supplier. Therefore the producer or the supplier will supply same amount of the commodity although the price decrease in the market. But according to the logic of the law of supply, there should be a decline in the supply of commodity as the price declines, but the supply amount will be constant here. Now this can be explained with the help of this diagram. You see, this is OY axis and measuring the price of commodity, and OX axis it is the supply of the commodity. Now this is the original supply curve, that is S naught S, and the price or the original price of the commodity is OP naught, and OQ naught is the supply of the commodity. Now what will happen? The government imposes taxes on the commodity price, so it will increase the price of commodity. That means OP naught to OP1, and therefore the supply curve will shift leftward. But although there is a leftward shift of the supply curve, but the supply amount is constant here. Why it is constant? Because it will not actually increase the amount of supply. The producer will intend to supply same amount of the commodity in the market, although there is a increase in the price of commodity. Okay, next you see, their price falls, that means if the government used to that means take less unit of the taxation, that means imposes less amount of excise duty on the commodity, what will happen? The price will be declined, and therefore we will get another point, but not in the same supply curve, it will be a rightward shift supply curve. That means S0 is the original supply curve, and this is S2 is the rightward shift supply curve, but the amount of supply is constant. And this happens actually in case of the imposition of the excise duty by the government in the that means while government used to impose taxation on goods and commodities. Now the last point, changes in the goals of the firm. That means what we have got while we discuss the goals of the firm. Different firms may have different goals. For example, some firms may desire sales maximization rather than profit maximization. Generally, a firm always intend to get more profit after selling its commodity in the market, and hence this is called as the profit maximization goal. But sometimes a firm may use to apply, that means sales maximization motto. That means some firm may have the goal like sales maximization. In such situation, the supply will increase without changing in the price of commodity. So supply curve will shift rightward at the same price. So this is the supply curve of the firm. Okay, now this supply curve is shift rightward because the goals of the firm, original goal of the firm was profit maximization. Now this goal has changed to the sales maximization. Under sales maximization, at the constant price, the producer try to supply more amount of the commodity in the market. So under sales maximization, without changing in the price, the supply may increase. And sometimes a firm may intend to minimize the risk of the firm. That means risk minimization is maybe a goal of the firm, and hence they may adopt relatively safer lines activity which promise lower expected profits. Or in such situation, the supply of the commodity or the production of the commodity will be less. That means if the goal of the firm changes to risk minimization, that means the producer wants to take less risk, that means in the production of the commodity, so you will supply less amount of the commodity, and as a result it will shift left. That means there will be a leftward shift supply curve. So this was point number 4. Not exactly, it was last point. Now we discuss point number 4, changes in the price of related goods. You see again, changes in the price of related goods. What happened actually in this case? Many producers with their given amount of resources produce more than one item. That means producers always try to increase the profit nowadays. So it is the main motto of the producer. So he used to supply or produce more than one items. So now we consider an example. Consider a farmer who has given amount of land which he can use to produce wheat or paddy. So if the market price of wheat increases, he will grow less paddy even when the price of technology of the producing paddy and input prices remain the same. So X and Y are actually related or related goods actually, and these goods are supplied by the same producer A. Suppose the production or profit share of the producer may increase if he used to produce more unit of Y commodity, because the price of Y commodity increases in the market. As a result, he will supply less amount of the X commodity and he will supply more of Y commodity in the market. As he supply more of Y commodity, then he can get more amount of profit. So it affects the supply of X commodity. That means change in the price of related goods may affect the supply of X commodity, and as he supplies more unit of Y commodity, the supply curve of X commodity will decline. That means it will shift leftward. Okay, and again, if the price of Y commodity declines, what will happen? You see again the same point. The profit share after producing Y commodity will be declined, and therefore the price of X is constant, or sometimes it may increase, but the producer will get benefit if he supply more amount of X commodity. So it is very easy actually. So again, you go through the points which are given in your book, and then you can get more clear idea. Now this is important question from your examination point of view, and if you have any problem, then you can ask me personally. Thank you.